don't just talk about skills and knowledge, talk about accuracy, resilience and independent learning. Hello everyone, my name is Mike Harpham, and I suppose I'm an educational consultant now, but the sort of journey to here, really, it's been an interesting sort of evolution, if you like, of a journey, I suppose. So for some reason I seem to be very talented at music, classical music as well, originally from Yorkshire, so all my family are sort of nurses and, scientist type people or miners, so God knows where the musician came from. But anyway, I was got a great big letter from the Royal Academy of Music, and I won't say what my dad said, but he was incredibly surprised. But anyway, so came down to London from Yorkshire to study at the Royal Academy of Music and trained as an opera singer. So the sort of first iteration, if you like, was being a musician and looking to be an opera singer. But when I went for an audition with a sort of world-class bass, he said, "Your voice isn't going to mature until you're in your 40s. How do you intend to earn a living till then?" So that was it. So that took me into teaching and into schools, and so I ended up being a music teacher in sort of London and the home counties. And just had a great time teaching music, being head of music, head of performing arts. Had a year off to go off to California, and I did a teacher exchange with a Fulbright exchange program, and that was an amazing year. So I can recommend that to anybody. When you're feeling as though either career-wise you just can't face sort of another year doing the same old, or you just need a break or a change. Doing something like an exchange program or going traveling, just something to shake it all up. Definitely worth doing. So that was great. And then came back and worked the way up the sort of teacher ladder, if you like. So deputy head in 2 schools, pastoral and curriculum, and then head teacher. And then came out of that. And in the background, along the way, I'm sort of always interested in research as well, and sort of using my brain in a slightly different way, sort of more writing and more researching. So I did sort of 2 master's degrees, and then currently working on a doctorate. So currently working at Greenwich, working with schools on looking at teamwork at senior leadership level and what factors influence senior leadership in schools. And bizarrely, I've just won a prize from the university because apparently that they think it's got impact, or it either has had impact, or it's got potential to have impact either in education or beyond education, because it's very much looking at teamwork and all of that. So that was very nice. That was a real surprise. So at the ripe old age of 53, going back into being a student again and getting a prize. So that was very sweet. So very exciting about that. And then sort of more recently, after the headship, started doing more consultancy work, coaching. So I do a lot of coaching, a lot of training, and writing. So, and then just out of the training, a conversation. So I was in a school doing some training, and it went really well, and it was all about progress in the classroom. And then a friend of mine, so I thought, oh well, it'll be good to do a booklet to go with the training. And then a friend said, oh well, as a parent, they'd be really interested to hear more about it, and why don't I go away and write it as a book? So I started writing it as a book, but the friend who helped people self-publish moved off to Oxford, so we never managed to do a sort of follow-up lunch. And I just thought, well, rather than assuming nobody's interested, why don't I just chuck it out there to a couple of publishers and see what they say? So I sent it off to 3 publishers, and they all came back with a yes, we'd love to publish. So again, it was like oh, okay. this didn't go quite the way I was expecting it to go. So anyway, so I got a book deal and with Routledge, and so the book, so Progress Plain and Simple: What Every Teacher Needs to Know About Improving Pupil Progress. So that got published back in March. So that was that was a real sort of magic moment. Actually, it was really, really lovely, and it was just a lovely opportunity to just, put my views and ideas and 25 odd years experience in schools, working with teachers into the book. So that's been really great. And then on the back of that, I then got a second book deal also with Routledge, working on a second book. So I'm currently working on a second book called The School Leaders' Years. There's probably three bits to this, I think, and I think it all starts with, if I said to you, could you name me a teacher that really made a difference to your life? And I think anybody watching this, that's the first question would be, name me a teacher who made a big difference to you, that you look back and go, if it wasn't for them, I wouldn't be where I am today. They were inspirational. They made a big difference. Now, for me, that's what I want every teacher to be doing, and that's what I want students in schools, whatever age, when they go into lessons, there's those moments that are just light bulb moments, magic moments that are just, do you know what I mean? That are just really special. And I think that and this is sort of where the book sort of comes in a way, because there's three bits that I think we're missing a trick on as teachers, if you like. And the first bit is we spend a lot of time working on knowledge, and we spend a lot of time working on skills. And absolutely rightly, and the government are all over that, and Ofsted are all over that, and the curriculum's all over that. So absolutely right that we've got skills and knowledge, and we need to be working with the students on developing those, for sure. However, I think there's other opportunities that we're missing a trick on. One is about accuracy, and how are we teaching students about accuracy, and whether not just something's right or wrong, but why is it right or wrong? And why is one way of working better than another way of working? Why is that more right, and why is something else more wrong? And I think we're losing a trick there to explain to the students that. And again, just giving them the opportunity to show that they've got something and they understand something, and another opportunity to go, well done, you've got that right, carry on. And similarly, I think resilience is a big one, and that's certainly come out a lot in the book. And at the minute, I'm touring around about a dozen universities, and the feedback I'm getting back from the students is they'd love to know more about how do we teach resilience, how do we help students be more resilient, how do we help children be more resilient, because that's the journey, isn't it? At the end of the day, the students come in and can't do something, they leave and hopefully can do something, but along the way we've got to help them be more resilient about making mistakes, about doing it on their own. So another way we can help is actually help students be more resilient, and again, creating opportunities where students can see that, oh, I did that on my own. I didn't need to ask the teacher for help on that. I didn't need to ask a friend for help on that. I did that myself. So there's another opportunity, a light bulb moment where, you can go, well done, you did that on your own that time. That's fun. So again, an opportunity on resilience. And then the other one is about independent learning. And again, just setting up moments in time where, do you know what, students, everybody, I can't do this now. I've spent enough time teaching, it's now over to you, and I've got to let this go. And you've got to do this on your own, but you can do this. I have faith in you. You know what to do. You can do this. And that, again, just creating those opportunities in lessons for more independent learning, but again, for students to recognise that they really can do this on their own. And so I think, so that's one sort of, I know that was sort of quite a bit, but that's sort of one package, if you like, of don't just talk about skills and knowledge, talk about accuracy, resilience and independent learning. I think the second thing, in terms of how can teachers help develop more progress, I think it's about what I call in the book transference as opposed to transmission. And it's not just about doing a great PowerPoint and doing an all singing, all dancing lesson, but it's also structuring the lesson so that through the lesson, the students take over more and more and more, and you're actively handing it over to the students so that by the end of the lesson, the students are doing the lesson, the students are doing it all, and actually you've empowered them and facilitated that learning, as opposed to, hey everybody, I've got this great PowerPoint, you're going to love it, work hard, sit there quietly, do you know what I mean? Do your work, sit quietly, but actually, how do you know they've learned it? How do you know they've learned the lessons that you want to teach them? So that it's that transference as opposed to transmission. And then the third thing, when I've been into schools and supporting schools, one of the big issues around progress is the programs of study. And so lessons are really well planned, schemes of work are usually really well planned. Programs of study, I'm not so sure on. And it's this underpinning of the curriculum and the learning and the assessment in time, and building in the safety nets to make sure that we get the learning absolutely where we want it to be, when we want it to be, and it's being aware of, we need to pin this learning in time, because we're all working in a fixed amount of time, and so we need to make sure the students make that amount of learning over the year, over the half term, over the year, so that by the end of it, we know they've made the progress they're expected to make and can make, and we've made that happen. And it's not just happened by chance, we've made that happen. The schools that I've been in and worked in, the programs of study, that sort of overarching structure that holds it all together, isn't anywhere near as tight and as rigorous as it should be. Absolutely, and that's one of the things that in with the whole COVID thing. I mean, it's forced us all to, in education, to take on board this whole idea of independent learning and technology, and and a whole load of us that are of an age where Zoom meant something completely different to what it does now. And actually get to grips with technology and get to grips with how can learning take place outside of the classroom. How can that happen? And I think it's really helped teachers and schools really understand what it's like for parents at home, and actually, provide things and structure things in a way to support parents with that work at home that can be done at home. And I remember doing a piece and putting it out there for parents, sort of 10 things to do with your child at home. And I think when I was talking to parents, one of the things that they didn't realise was, you can go on the school's website and there will be a scheme of work, there will be a programme that they should be there, and it's just that interface of parents being able to see what their children are doing at school, and then having those conversations, and just again exactly what you're saying there. It's when the children come home, just sitting them down and saying, tell me what you learned today, or explain to me what you did today at school, and just having the students show, tell, at home, just helps reinforce all of the all the work that the teachers are doing at school, and it just helps reinforce all of that. At the end of the day, people are buying success, and therefore making sure whatever it is that you're doing is a success, or can be measured as a success and seen as a success. So I'm coaching about 60 sort of middle leaders at the moment, and that's exactly that. They've all got a school improvement project, and one of the things I'm feeding back to them is first of all, what's your measure of success? How do we know what you're doing is going to be a success, and how do the students know that, and how do the powers that be know that? But also, what are your milestones along the way, so that after the first 3 or 4 weeks, what are you going to notice that tells you that you're just like a journey, that tells you you're making the progress you need to be making, or the students are making the progress that you want them to be making, and what's your plan B if they're not, for the students, and what's your plan C for the staff who are struggling with 1 or 2 students. Do you know what I mean? So it's not just about let's have a great project, but it's also about that sort of more minutiae of, so what's the safety nets that you're going to that are going to kick in to help the students that don't quite make it, and to help the staff that don't quite make it. What was that phrase? Hope for the best and plan for the worst, or something. So yeah, for sure. It doesn't always go according to plan, but as a leader, you're being, you're the one that's expected to make it happen, and therefore, covering all bases just makes sure that happens. So I think yeah, have a card for people who are going for leadership positions in schools. Yeah, have a card. Doesn't matter what it is, can be anything, but just have a project where things have been a success, and that, you know, and that's been a clear measurable. And I think also just be human as well. Don't be scared. It's an interest. I think we're changing as a nation or the profession. You know, I think when I was at school, you know, everything had to be very tight, you know, fairly tight-lipped, and you know, you always put on a good front, and you always presented incredibly successfully and so on. Whereas I think nowadays, I think it's also about learning and education, and actually it's okay to show the more vulnerable side of things, and to say, well, actually, you know, things haven't gone necessarily according to plan, but this is what I've learned from it, and this is how I'm a richer person, a better person, and this is how I can empathise with students, teachers, because actually I've got a little bit of that understanding as well, because, you know, we're not all perfect and so on, and I think, you know, being more human and a bit more you know, more self-aware, I suppose, but also not being afraid to talk about those things as well, because, you know, we're all on a journey.
Thank you for watching. I hope you found it enjoyable and useful. In the comment box below, please put a question or a comment about the video. To grow our community more and help other teachers out there, please subscribe to the channel and share our posts and videos. Thank you.